Hey everyone. It's after season here. Pretty much all the seasons are tying up here, whether it's bow, muzzleloader, gun season. And the forums are kind of dying down, that kind of stuff. People are talking about what they're doing with their off-season chores on their land and all that good stuff. And I don't see a lot of people talking about what they're doing with their equipment. Especially regarding safety around your stands and things like that. Over the years, I've had a couple of straps break on stands just from not inspecting them properly, and that kind of sends a little bit of a chill through your spine. Luckily for me, it was just literally. And now I make sure that every season, right after the season's done, I go through all my equipment. And the reason I do it right after the season, not right before the next season, is because I remember some things. I remember, hey, a bolt is loose. I needed to do this. I'll write things in my logbook while I'm sitting in my stand, my electronic logbook that I keep. So I can go back through there and say, hey, I need to do something on my stand here. So I'm going to actually take you through the things that I look at. I use a older Lone Wolf style portable mobile stand for most of my hunting. And I'm going to go through that with you and show you a couple of things that I look at and a couple of things that I've changed over the years and a couple of things that I'm adding this year that are a little different. So stick with me. All right. So like I said, I've got a Lone Wolf tree stand. It's an old one. Got it hockey taped up in a lot of spots. And I want to show you kind of some of the things I went over and I'm going to do here. So number one thing I had was my seat was just beat. So I actually picked up a newer seat from Novix. If some of you don't know, Novix is the stand company that bought out the original Lone Wolf, and you can still get a lot of the parts for the original ones from them. So I bought a seat to replace my seat. It was just beat. The next thing I look for actually is loose stuff. So here you can see my bat wing is pretty loose. That's one thing I knew right away that I needed to check. And then I also always check these cable attachment points, right? This one here is real loose. I noted this actually on one of my last sits. And what you want to do is just make sure you check these. You don't want to be super tight because they do need to move when you open your stand up, but you don't want them loose. This side here, it rotates with some friction, but it's not loose. So what we want to do is right away address these things. So you can use an Allen wrench or one of these ratcheting screwdrivers with a bit in there, and I just use a crescent wrench. This is not anything super fancy. You're literally just tightening a bolt a little bit, okay? Now it's still pretty wobbly, so we're going to do it a little bit more. A little bit more. Okay, so step one, complete. Now it moves a little bit there. Now onto this one. Now this bat wing, it's not really loose. It's not going to move anywhere. It's kind of captured here by the form of the post here. But what I don't like is it could potentially make noise, right? So you get up there and it's stuck, and all of a sudden you shift your weight and it moves a little bit and it cracks or creaks or whatever. So I'm not really interested in that happening. This one here, this nut is actually captured between these two machine surfaces here. So all you got to do is open this up and tighten the lock nut up a little bit. Okay, so I want to have that nice and tight. I don't want my bat wing moving at all. I want that nice and tight. Okay, so right there, this bolt here is tight. Now I want to check my Versa button. Okay, that's nice and tight. I don't want any play in that. I also don't want it too tight. This is a Delron bushing, so you don't want to crack it or anything like that. It's basically plastic. And then I'm going to check my cables. Now, I have some tape on here. I'm actually going to tear some of that off because it's pretty beat. That just keeps my boots from squeaking on the cables. but you want to check the joints here where that attaches. If there any, you can feel any movement there. These are absolutely critical, right? They hold your stand from falling face flat down, and you go for a ride if that were to happen. And then check everything here. The last spot here with any mechanical stuff here is the seat post bolt. And this one is really nice and stiff. I set them so that when I actually let this thing down, you can see it's kind of just tight. It doesn't slam down. I don't want this to be flopping around in the woods when I'm walking. I want it to be fairly tight. And frankly, I could even tighten this up just a hair more. Because I want this to be tight, and I want to move quietly, okay? I don't want noise anywhere. The other thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is straps. So I said in the intro that we had in the past some straps break, and where they broke was actually on the end part here where the strap is. I'll pop one off of my other sticks here just to show you. The straps actually broke at the loop. And what happens is these threads here, this sewing pattern, through the years of dragging this thing through the brush and it rubbing on bark and everything else, wore away these threads, and then they start popping out. And I didn't notice it, frankly. So what I do now is I'm pretty keen on checking these out. But what I've started to do in the last 2 years is actually just put some cloth tape over those seams. And at the end of the year, I still inspect them. I take the tape off and I put new tape on. But that's just a protective layer to keep any brush and briars and bark from really damaging the threads underneath here. If those threads don't get damaged, these things are going to last a long, long time. So, like I said, I put this, it's a cloth hockey tape, I guess. You can get lots of different colors of it, and put that on there. I don't use electrical tape just because it's got kind of a shine to it. I don't like that. Electrical tape is not necessarily as good for this application. It's just potentially could squeak. I just don't want to use it. So you could use it if you want to, if you're fine with that. Okay, so the upgrade that I did to this particular strap here is I like to always have my stand strap be one of my newer straps. I use a single strap. There's no two straps on here. You can see that I have these threads already taped on this one. I've moved my bicycle inner tube over the buckle so that there's no noise with that. It can't clang around. I mean, it'll hit, but it's not metal on metal. But these are XOP brand straps, and they're actually longer, quite a bit longer. I'll put this out on the table here, and you can see the original strap here, and then I have another strap. And not only the tag ends here, you can see the tag end here is here, the tag end here is here, but even the base end is longer. So I believe these are 8 foot, and these other ones are like 6. So a standard one's probably 6 foot. These are 8, just a lot longer. And you can see these are way beefier. Like we got another probably 1/8 to a quarter, probably 1/4 inch thicker strap here. So as far as a strength upgrade, this is a lot probably safer, and it allows me to get into a little bit bigger trees. I don't hunt a lot in big trees, but every once in a while, you gotta find there's a big tree somewhere, a mass tree or something, and you're gonna be in there. I like having a bigger strap. So I picked these up. The kit came with 2 of them from XOP, and I'll use one on the stand, and then I'll probably use one for my base stick, right? So my base stick is right here, and I have just a 1-step climbing aider on here with a rope. I don't use aiders anywhere else on my sticks because I don't like how they sway around up there, frankly. But I'll use this other XOP strap on here, and because, as you know, the base of the tree is always larger than when you go up, so that base stick always needs the larger strap. So I'm going to put that on here for next year. Finally, the last thing I did is replaced my bow rope. And a lot of guys are like, well, you know, I've been using the same one on my stand for 50 years, and some guys run them in their pocket or whatever, but I had this year actually where I was pulling up my bow and my rope actually started to break a little bit. And I'll tell you what, that's not a great feeling, because you just don't want to drop your bow 20 feet up in the stand. So this is just paracord, super easy to do. You guys all know the figure 8 wrap. If you wrap it like this, in a figure 8 style, you'll never have a tangle, which is nice. And another trick with this, if you really want to make this tangle free, is actually tear the center out. If you tear that white material out of the center, this stuff will lay limp on the outer shell of it, and it'll be a lot easier to manage. I didn't do that on here because it's not that big a deal to me, but I did that on my old one, and it helped a lot. So finally, the sticks, right? Same situation here. You want to inspect everything. This one here, real floppy, right? I mean, this back post moves, everything moves. I don't like that at all. I want them tight. I mean, this one here, you push on it, it moves, but it takes a little effort. I know it's hard to show on camera, but same thing with the bottom. Moves, but takes effort. This one, it just flop all over the place. So what we want to do is obviously tighten that up. There are kits you can buy from Lone Wolf, from Novix, where they'll send you new bolts, new washers, all that stuff. It's relatively inexpensive. So if you feel like your washers are getting kind of smashed and just not working out, buy the new stuff. It's cheap. They're, I think, I don't know, like 30 bucks or something. I can see if I can find some links. I'll put it in for all this stuff in here, and go from there. And we're gonna just put a little crank on there, and they don't have to be a lot. You're crushing small nylon washers, and that's good. You still want them to move. You just don't want to have a lot of play in them. Okay, so I'm going to do that on my sticks. So I don't need to have you go through that. They're all the same. These are stealth strips on here. I do like these. They stack a little bit harder, but they are a lot quieter, and they're nice to the touch, especially when it's cold. Your hands aren't frozen to the things. So that's it. I just wanted to show you that the few things I go across to check on here. Hopefully this helped you out, and good luck.
If you're enjoying this content, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.